My name is Joel Tomfohr, and this is part of a larger book. This is told from the perspective of a character named Moth. Even in my earliest memories, my dad hovered about me like some strange shadow. He was not like my mom. I had to look and look for him. I had to sense him. He wasn't simply there in the same way that she was. I had to seek him out, and even then, even when I found him, he remained distant. Quiet, quiet, the soft rug beneath my feet, the deep voices of men outside. I heard my dad's among them, like they were talking from their bellies, from way back in their throats. They talked as if they hid behind masks. I peeked through the living room window, and there were two men and my dad. They stood in a small circle next to his truck. Now they laughed deep and hard. I have few memories of my dad laughing. "Timothy," my mom said, "Timothy." I turned to look at her. She sat at the couch. The noise of the television was soft, almost inaudible. "What do you see?" I had no words. It was Dad, I wanted to say. "Would you like to go for a walk today?" she asked. "I can pull you in the wagon if you like. You can bring your stuffed lamb if you like." Oh, how I loved when she said, "if you like." It was a song, an incantation that summoned my true self from the heart of me. If you like. Could it just be you and me, Mom and Timothy? Would you like to go on a walk with me alone? My mom could read my mind. I would like that very much. Would you like to go now? Indeed, I would. Now I wore my jacket, my small shoes. I held my stuffed lamb in my left hand. My mom put on her jacket, and we slipped out the back door by the kitchen and down the sidewalk that cut through the backyard. We stopped for the wagon, and now we reached the sidewalk. Now we were alone, beyond the pull of my dad and the two men at the truck. And even though I could not see or hear them, the sound of their laughter echoed softly in my head. And I am back again. That's not strange, not remarkable. Everything that was then is now before my eyes. It is urgent, and it prays for me to tell its story. I stand before it, and it is everything. Yes, my childhood, my adolescence rearranges itself before me, and it is everything. Back then, before I had met the boy, I used to bike around the neighborhoods on those afternoons in summer when my dad was drinking. I'd see the boy around town. I'd see him with his mom leaving the Super Value, carrying brown paper bags full of groceries. How normal it all seemed to me. I felt lonely, and I longed to be him, or to be his brother, and since I could not be either of these things, I determined to become his friend. After it had happened, though, I never told him how I watched him from a distance, how at first it just happened by chance, that I would see him here or there around town, sometimes with his mother, others with his father, and still others leading his younger brother to the playground 2 blocks from their home on Wilson Avenue. Then it started to become a habit, like I knew the places he'd be at the times he would be there, and so I'd plan my bike rides accordingly. Sure enough, there he'd be. Sometimes he noticed he was being watched, and I would bike away as if I had just been passing by. Yes, I look back at the whole town, my place in it, and it unfolds before me in perfect formation. Sometimes I biked past their backyard, and I could see what the boy could not, like the way his dad hid things from the rest of his family, like how once I caught him stubbing out a cigarette in the space between their garage and the neighbors, the way he blew white smoke and then waved it away from in front of his mouth like a secret. Or how another time in the same backyard I saw the way his father gently placed a hand on the boy's back between his shoulder blades, not far from between the 2 garages where I caught him stubbing out a cigarette. He touched that place, and the boy flinched, and his father quickly removed his hand. He looked around, and I caught his eyes, and he looked to me as if he had been caught doing something that he was not supposed to be doing. From there, I biked quickly toward Main Street and took a right and followed it until it ended at the fairgrounds. Out there was a giant oak tree. I biked across the field toward it and hopped off my bike and gave it a ghost ride into the solid trunk of the tree where it crashed and fell to the ground without me. I scaled the trunk of it and climbed high into the branches until I could see our little town from above, where I could just barely make out the shining lake, and there I sat in the boughs of the tree and wondered when my father would be asleep. We lay on our backs on top of our shirts at the grassy bank of the lake, our heads resting in the cradle of the interlaced fingers of our hands. We lay in the dappled light beneath the trees and marveled silently at the patterns of their leaves, the geometry, their shapes, their shapes against each other, against the blue sky. They spoke in a way that school could not teach us. No math class could make it clearer than this. We could only experience it. The sun warmed our chests where it passed between the leaves. We heard the soft lap of the water against the grassy shore like a dog's tongue. I couldn't put my finger on it, but I could tell that the boy carried a secret like the way his father did. He just didn't know it. There were some days when it looked so heavy. On those days, I took it upon myself to lift some of it from his back, to make things light for him. I did not want much in exchange. What do you do, boy, when I am gone? Why do you call me boy? I'm 14, you know. I know, I said, but you are a boy to me. I think of you, moth, when I am not with you. Really? I asked. No, he answered. My heart sank. That was what I wanted more than anything, that he would think of me when I wasn't around. I used to draw pictures of my grandparents' house, he said. Where do they live? On a golf course, and I loved it there. And you don't draw anymore? I realized that all my drawings are bad. I watched a sparrow drop from a branch and dip towards and rise above the glassy lake in a perfect inverted arc. Do you still visit them? My mom hasn't taken me and my brothers in a while. What about your dad? He always has work. The boy considered something. I think I'm happiest there. Again, my heart sank. He could do this again and again to me, and I wouldn't let him know. I thought he didn't know. The inborn design of the leaves in the tree above us cascaded over and over themselves until it seemed as though they would reach down and touch our faces. Did you ever wonder what it would be like to share a body? Do you ever wonder why you ask such stupid questions? Because I'm stupid. I stood. I wore only my shorts. I backed up 2 giant steps and took a running leap into the water. I plunged through with a deep whoosh in my ears. It was crisp. You splashed me, he cried. I guess you have to get in. I splashed him some more, but he didn't budge, not even to protect himself.